Don't move too quickly past this moment, because something around you has quietly changed in ways most people still cannot fully explain. They look at you differently now, as if they are trying to solve a version of you they once thought they understood. In their polite smiles there is confusion, subtle but persistent. They notice how you handle pressure without breaking, how you no longer reach for validation the way you used to. Something in you has settled into a calm they cannot easily disturb, and that calmness unsettles them more than any loud change ever could. There was a time when people believed they had already defined your limits, when they assumed your uncertain seasons were your permanent state. They misread your silence as weakness, your patience as delay, your kindness as fragility. But something shifted away from their view, in spaces they never had access to. While life stayed noisy around you, you were rebuilding yourself quietly, steadily, into something they no longer recognize or control. Not through sudden change, but through patient repetition of choosing yourself when it was easier not to. And now they are left observing a version of you that does not shrink to fit their expectations anymore. You are no longer performing for understanding, nor explaining yourself to be accepted. Instead, you move with a quiet certainty that does not need permission. And in that space, they realize the version of you they remember was never the final form at all. Growth rarely announces itself loudly. It often arrives in silence, long before recognition catches up to it. And by the time they notice, everything has already changed, completely beyond recognition now. Pause here for a second and feel this carefully. The reason people cannot understand your growth is because your greatest evolution happened internally before it ever appeared externally. Long before results arrived, your mind had already changed. Long before opportunities appeared, your perspective had shifted. Long before confidence showed on your face, it was quietly rebuilding itself inside your spirit. That is why your presence feels different now. You no longer enter rooms trying to convince people of your worth. You no longer shrink yourself just to make insecure people comfortable. You stopped begging for recognition from those who could never see your future clearly in the first place. And the strange part? The moment you stopped chasing validation, everything started moving toward you. Not immediately, no. It happened slowly, quietly, almost mysteriously, like the universe was testing whether you truly believed in your own path. There were nights when nobody clapped for you, days when it felt like progress had disappeared, moments when your faith in yourself trembled so hard you nearly walked away from the vision entirely. But you stayed, even while exhausted, even while misunderstood, even while people secretly doubted whether you would ever rise beyond your circumstances. That persistence changed your energy forever. Listen closely now, because this next part matters more than you realize. People are not only reacting to your success, they are reacting to your transformation. Success can be copied, money can be imitated, status can be borrowed, but authentic inner evolution creates a presence that cannot be duplicated, and they feel it. That is why conversations suddenly pause when you speak. That is why certain people watch your social media without interacting. That is why old connections reappear at unexpected moments. That is why some people who ignored you before now seem strangely curious about your life. They cannot fully explain what changed, but they know something did. And here is the truth they are slowly beginning to understand. You survived seasons that were supposed to break you. Not everybody knows the private battles you fought. Not everybody saw the moments when you questioned your future in silence. They only see the version of you emerging now, clearer, wiser, more focused, but they did not witness the rebuilding process that created this new reality. That process changed the structure of your thinking. You stopped reacting emotionally to every obstacle. You stopped wasting energy proving yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You became more intentional with your time, your words, your attention, and suddenly your life began moving differently. Not because luck found you, because alignment found you. Wait a little longer because the deeper revelation is only beginning. There are people around you who secretly believed you would stay small forever, not because they hated you, but because your growth forces them to confront their own limitations. Your evolution reminds them of risks they were too afraid to take. Your discipline reflects the excuses they continue repeating. Your peace exposes the chaos they normalized inside themselves. And even though they may never admit it directly, your existence is becoming evidence that transformation is possible. That is why your journey feels magnetic now. You are no longer operating from survival energy alone. You are beginning to move with vision. There is a difference. Survival energy says, I hope things improve. Vision energy says, I already see where I'm going. And once that shift happens internally, reality starts reorganizing itself around your expectations. This is why your intuition has become sharper lately. This is why certain distractions no longer attract you. What you're noticing isn't random. It's the way your judgment has sharpened over time, making certain offers, situations, and so-called opportunities stand out for what they truly are. Your perception has shifted, and people around you can pick up on that change, even when nothing is said directly. Some respond with respect, others with discomfort, but almost everyone reacts in some way, because your presence no longer blends into the background the way it once did. There's a quiet transformation happening in how you move through spaces and conversations. The version of you that once accepted less out of uncertainty or hesitation isn't the one operating anymore. Something more self-assured has taken its place, and it shows in subtle but unmistakable ways. People who once overlooked you are now recalculating their understanding of who you are becoming, trying to connect the dots between the past they remember and the energy you carry now. What unsettles them is not distance or arrogance, but precision. You are no longer easily swayed, no longer available for things that don't align, and that shift alone changes how others engage with you. Conversations feel more measured, pauses become more noticeable, and even simple exchanges carry a different weight. It's not that you've become harder to approach, it's that you've become harder to misread. And while some are still trying to figure out what changed, the truth is that the change didn't arrive loudly. It built itself quietly through experience, reflection, and clarity, until one day it simply became visible in the way you stand, decide, and move forward without needing to explain anything at all. Energy speaks long before words do, and yours is speaking loudly now. Stay here for a moment because this next truth may explain everything you've been sensing lately. The world reacts differently to people who finally believe in themselves. Not pretend belief, not forced confidence, real belief. The kind born after disappointment, silence, setbacks, and emotional storms. That kind of belief creates gravity. It changes posture, decisions, timing, even the opportunities that begin appearing around you. You may think people are impressed by your results, but many are actually reacting to your certainty. There is something deeply unsettling about witnessing a person stop doubting themselves after years of hesitation, because once that happens, their entire reality begins to accelerate, and yours is accelerating now. Have you noticed how quickly situations are changing lately? Doors opening unexpectedly, certain people drifting away while new ones arrive almost at perfect timing, strange moments where intuition warns you before problems appear. This is not random. Your awareness is becoming more refined. The version of you that once ignored red flags is disappearing. The version that tolerated disrespect just to avoid loneliness is fading. The version that begged life for permission to grow is dissolving quietly in the background. And in its place, a far more powerful identity is forming, one that no longer needs constant reassurance to move forward. That transformation is rare. Most people never fully step into themselves because they remain emotionally attached to the opinion surrounding them. They live according to external noise, external fear, external expectations. But you started listening inwardly. And once that inner voice became stronger than public opinion, everything began changing. Wait before moving ahead, because there is another layer to this story nobody talks about. Some people secretly miss the old version of you, not because the old version was better, because it was easier for them to understand. The old you explained yourself too much, overextended too often, gave energy away carelessly, tried to keep peace even when it cost inner stability. But now there is mystery around you. You no longer reveal every plan immediately. You no longer argue with every misunderstanding. You have learned that silence can sometimes be more powerful than explanation. And that shift has completely altered the way people perceive you. They wonder where your sudden discipline came from. They wonder how you stopped reacting emotionally to negativity. They wonder how your focus became so sharp while everyone else remains distracted. But what they cannot see is the hidden preparation that created this moment. The nights you stayed awake thinking about your future. The inner battles nobody noticed. The moments you nearly gave up but chose growth anyway. Those private decisions built the energy people feel today. And believe this carefully. Your story is only beginning. What people see now is merely the first glimpse of your transformation. They think this is your peak because they are judging you based on current results. But your future is still unfolding beyond their imagination. That is why your spirit has felt restless lately. You are being prepared for larger rooms, larger conversations, larger responsibilities. The life ahead of you will require a stronger identity than the one you carried before. And deep down, you already know this. That quiet feeling inside you, it is not anxiety. It is expansion. Something within you already understands that returning to smaller thinking is no longer possible after everything you have moved through, after what you have faced, after what you have learned. A quieter strength has taken root inside you, one that does not collapse under uncertainty. There is a shift happening that cannot be reversed. As your awareness deepens, life itself begins to respond differently around you. People who once overlooked your presence may suddenly reappear with curiosity, while others begin to fade without explanation. These changes rarely arrive loudly. They show up in delays, in silence, in subtle adjustments that only make sense when you step back and look at the full picture. It is not about judgment or resentment. It is about alignment. You are beginning to notice that environments built on limitation feel heavier than before, almost uncomfortable to stay in for too long. That discomfort is not confusion. It is clarity forming. Your energy no longer fits into spaces that demand you to shrink. Instead, there is a growing pull toward distance from noise, from false urgency, and from connections that only function when something is needed from you. What is unfolding is not an ending, but a reorganization of your path. A deeper awareness of your own value is taking shape, and once that awareness settles, everything around you begins to adjust accordingly. Trust this transition, even when it feels unfamiliar, because growth often arrives in quiet ways that do not announce themselves loudly, but reshape your direction gradually, helping you release what no longer belongs to your path, while strengthening your sense of purpose, stability, and inner clarity as you continue forward. The reason everyone seems shocked by your growth is because they expected pressure to make you collapse. They thought disappointment would make you smaller. They assumed obstacles would eventually exhaust your ambition. But pressure introduced you to a version of yourself even you had never fully met before. A version capable of rebuilding under impossible circumstances. A version that became wiser through heartbreak instead of bitter. A version that learned how to stay calm while life tested every layer of patience. And now that version is finally stepping forward. That is why people feel your presence before you even speak. Because real transformation creates invisible weight, not heavy in a negative way, heavy with depth, with certainty, with earned wisdom. You carry experiences now that changed the structure of your thinking forever. Things that once intimidated you no longer hold the same power. Situations that once drained you now reveal themselves quickly. You have started recognizing patterns faster than before, and this awareness is becoming your greatest advantage. Wait, because the next truth explains why your future feels so close lately. You are entering a season where your decisions matter more than ever. Not because life suddenly became dangerous, but because your potential is becoming real. Opportunities will begin appearing disguised as ordinary moments. Conversations that seem random will carry hidden significance. One connection, one choice, one unexpected turn could redirect your entire future. That is why your intuition keeps trying to slow you down before certain situations. You are no longer meant to move unconsciously. You are meant to move intentionally. And strangely enough, the people watching your life can sense this shift too. Some admire it quietly. Some envy it silently. Some are inspired by it without admitting it. But almost everyone around you can feel that you are becoming difficult to predict. Not because you are pretending, because you finally stopped living according to other people's expectations. That freedom is rare. Most individuals spend their entire lives trapped inside invisible fear. Fear of judgment, rejection, failure, embarrassment. But you have already walked through enough discomfort to realize something powerful. Fear loses control once you stop running from it. And ever since that realization entered your spirit, your energy has become magnetic. Notice how certain opportunities now appear exactly when you stop obsessing over them. Notice how answers arrive after moments of stillness. Notice how your confidence grows strongest when you remain focused on your purpose instead of external validation. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. Your life is beginning to respond to the identity you are building internally, and that identity is far stronger than the world realizes. There are people from your past who still remember the version of you that doubted everything, the version that second-guessed every decision, the version that waited for permission before stepping fully into possibility. But they have not yet understood something important. That version of you was temporary. The person emerging now is someone entirely different, someone more disciplined, more aware, more emotionally intelligent, someone who no longer panics when challenges appear because experience has already taught how temporary difficulty can be. And because of that, your future is opening faster than expected. Do not ignore the strange pull you've been feeling toward bigger goals lately. Do not dismiss the visions appearing in your mind during quiet moments. Those thoughts are not arriving by accident. They are invitations. Invitations toward the life you were slowly preparing for during every lonely season nobody applauded. You were growing even when nothing visible was happening. Change often goes unnoticed at first, until it begins to show in subtle but undeniable ways. And that is why people start questioning what shifted within you. There is a quiet strength forming in how you think, how you respond, and how you no longer abandon your own direction. It was never a sudden transformation, but a gradual return to yourself, where discipline replaced hesitation and awareness replaced distraction. Because of that, life around you starts shifting as well, even before anyone can fully explain why. There may come a point when others realize too late that they misread your growth, mistaking silence for stagnation. But what they miss is the steady build happening beneath the surface, where consistency creates momentum that cannot easily be reversed. You might feel a tension between who you were and who you are becoming, like standing between two chapters of the same life. That discomfort is not confusion, but adjustment, the natural friction of expansion into something unfamiliar yet necessary. As certain spaces feel less aligned, you begin to notice where your energy no longer belongs, and that awareness slowly guides your next direction. What once felt normal now feels heavier, and that contrast is quietly revealing how much you have changed underneath. You do not need to rush what is unfolding, because the progress you have made already speaks louder than explanation. Keep moving with patience, because the direction you are heading toward is becoming clearer, even if it is not fully visible yet. In time, the results will speak for themselves and leave no space for doubt or misunderstanding about your transformation quietly unfolding, exactly as it should happen, naturally, forward, always. Certain habits feel empty now. Certain people only know how to interact with the older version of you, so when they encounter your new energy, they become uncertain without understanding why. They remember who you were, but they cannot fully understand who you are becoming. That gap creates tension, and instead of explaining yourself repeatedly, you have started protecting your peace. That decision alone changed your entire frequency, because peace is powerful. Not loud power, not attention-seeking power, real power, the kind that allows a person to remain calm while others panic, the kind that helps you think clearly while everyone else reacts emotionally, the kind that attracts opportunities naturally because your mind is no longer trapped inside chaos. People notice this more than you realize. Even strangers can feel it sometimes. They notice the way you no longer rush for approval, the way your energy remains grounded, even under pressure, the way your confidence now feels quiet instead of performative. And secretly, that level of self-control inspires people, because the world is filled with noise, distraction, and emotional instability. So when someone carries genuine inner balance, it stands out immediately. That is why your presence has become unforgettable lately. Not because you became perfect, because you became authentic. And authenticity creates a type of influence stronger than force ever could. Wait here a little longer, because there is another revelation approaching. The life you are moving toward will demand courage from you in ways you cannot fully predict yet. Bigger opportunities also bring bigger tests. Greater visibility also attracts greater attention. As your future expands, people will project more opinions onto your path. Some will support you, some will misunderstand you. Some will quietly hope you fail because your growth reminds them of their own unrealized potential. But none of that can stop what is meant for you unless you start doubting yourself again. That is the real battle now. Not external obstacles, internal certainty. Because once a person fully trusts their direction, they become extremely difficult to distract. And your focus is becoming dangerous in the best possible way. You are learning how to move without announcing every plan, how to build without seeking immediate applause, how to evolve privately until results speak louder than explanations ever could. That wisdom is changing your future already. Think about how different your mindset is compared to even a year ago. Things that once controlled your emotions now barely affect you. Situations that once delayed your progress now become lessons instead of setbacks. That is growth, real growth, not temporary motivation, permanent transformation. And the beautiful part? You are still only scratching the surface of your potential. There are gifts inside you that have not fully awakened yet, skills waiting for the right environment, confidence waiting for the right moment, ideas waiting for the right level of belief. Your future self already exists somewhere ahead of you, stronger, wiser, more abundant, more fulfilled than you currently imagine. And every disciplined decision you make today is slowly introducing you to that person. Before this message ends, remember something important. The people doubting you are operating from an outdated version of your identity. They are judging your future based on a person who no longer exists. That is why their predictions keep failing. That is why their expectations no longer match your reality. Because while they were watching the surface, you were rebuilding your entire inner world. If these words found you at the exact moment you needed them, Leave a comment below and let your energy be part of this journey. And if you want to continue walking this path of transformation together, stay connected and subscribe, because the next chapter unfolding in your life may become the very thing people talk about for years, without ever fully understanding how you did it. And the truth, you are only beginning. There is a reason your life no longer feels ordinary. Even when nothing dramatic is happening on the surface, something deep inside keeps telling you that a major shift is approaching. You try to rationalize what you are feeling, breaking it down into logic, telling yourself it is just a phase, maybe just motivation, or a passing emotional shift. Yet it keeps returning in waves, not dramatic, but steady, as if something within you is gradually aligning in a direction you cannot fully see yet. It does not feel loud anymore. It feels calm, persistent, and increasingly hard to ignore. There is also a subtle shift in how situations and people around you respond. Some individuals seem more attentive to what you say, more curious about your decisions, as if they are recalibrating how they view you. Others reach out after long silence, almost unexpectedly, while a few naturally drift away, unable to relate to the changes taking place in your mindset. Growth has a way of reorganizing relationships without announcements or explanations. It quietly exposes who adjusts with you and who resists the change. Over time, you begin to notice your priorities shifting as well. Things that once pulled your attention no longer hold the same importance. You start valuing calm over chaos, clarity over constant debate, and direction over distraction. There is a growing understanding that your mental space is not something to be constantly surrendered for approval or validation. You also begin to recognize that not everyone is meant to accompany you through every stage of your development. Some roles in your life expire naturally as you evolve, and in that realization, something stabilizes within you. You stop seeking external permission to trust your path and start relying more on your own internal clarity, building decisions quietly, steadily, and without needing constant reassurance from outside voices.